The clink of ice in a nearby glass, a sharp, crystalline sound, is what I remember first. That, and the low hum of forced professional pleasantries at another soulless company mixer. It's a familiar symphony, one I've endured countless times. Then, her voice, Sarah's voice, cuts through the noise, not meant for my ears, but finding them anyway. The sound of her laughter, usually a warm melody, now feels like a shard of that same ice pressed against my skin. "Oh, Mark? His promotion? Honestly, it's probably just a diversity hire thing, you know? Pity points." The words hang in the air, swirling with the scent of expensive generic perfume and the faint aroma of lukewarm canapés. My chest tightens. It's a familiar pressure, this feeling of being neatly categorized, reduced to a checkbox. Again. The word echoes in my mind, a bitter refrain to a song I never asked to hear. I stand a few feet away, my back to her and her little circle of confidants, pretending to be engrossed in a conversation about market projections. My own voice sounds distant, automated, as I nod and offer some vague agreement. Inside, though, a switch has been flipped. The champagne flute in my hand feels suddenly heavy, its delicate stem fragile between my fingers. I take a slow sip, the bubbles doing little to tickle away the acrid taste forming in my mouth. It's not just the insult, it's the casual cruelty of it. The easy dismissal from the woman who, until this very moment, I thought was my staunchest ally, my partner. The murmur of the party, the clinking glasses, the forced laughter. It all fades into a dull roar, a backdrop to the sudden, stark clarity of her betrayal. I can feel the heat rising in my face, a flush of anger and something akin to shame, though I know the shame isn't mine to bear. A tiny, almost imperceptible tremor starts in my hand. I set the champagne flute down on a passing tray before I drop it. Deep breath, Mark. Don't let them see. It's an old mantra. I've been underestimated before, brushed aside, my achievements minimized. But this is different. This is Sarah. The sting of it is sharper, deeper. I focus on the bland artwork on the far wall, a swirl of blues and grays that suddenly seems to reflect the turmoil inside me. Another wave of her laughter, light and carefree, washes over me. How can she sound so normal, so untouched by the venom she just spewed? It's a performance, I realize. Just like my own casual stance, my feigned interest in a conversation I can no longer follow. We're both actors on this corporate stage, but I'm only just realizing she's been playing a very different role in private. The air conditioning hums, a monotonous drone that suddenly feels oppressive. Each breath I take a little harder than the last. I want to turn, to confront her, to see the surprise and guilt on her face when she realizes I heard. But I don't. That's not my way. Instead, a cold resolve begins to crystallize within me, pushing aside the initial shock. I'll listen. I'll observe. I won't give her the satisfaction of knowing she's wounded me. Not yet. The scent of her jasmine perfume, usually a comforting aroma, now feels cloying, almost suffocating, as it drifts towards me. This tiny detail, the shift in how I perceive her signature scent, feels like a significant crack in the foundation of everything I thought we had. "He's lucky, I guess," one of her friends says, her voice syrupy with false sympathy. I can practically see the insincere tilt of her head. "Oh, completely," Sarah agrees, her tone dripping with an almost theatrical pity. "Some people just fall upwards, don't they?" My jaw tightens. Fall upwards? After the 70-hour weeks? The sacrificed weekends? The projects I salvaged from the brink of disaster? The bitter taste in my mouth intensifies. I pick up another drink. Something stronger this time. The burn of scotch a welcome distraction. The ice cubes rattle like dice in the glass. A small, sharp sound in the surrounding din. It's amazing. The things you notice when your world tilts on its axis. The slight tremor in my hand has stopped, replaced by a steady, icy calm. This isn't just a betrayal. It's a pattern, a piece of a puzzle I'm only now beginning to see. How many other times has she done this? Subtly undermining me, painting me as less than capable? The thought sends a fresh jolt through me, not of heat this time, but of cold, calculating anger. The warmth of the scotch does little to dispel it. I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a precipice, the ground crumbling beneath my feet. I need to know more. I need to understand the depth of this. My mind starts to race, piecing together small, previously insignificant moments, whispers I'd dismissed, glances I'd ignored. A chilling realization begins to dawn. This might not be an isolated incident. The very air around her seems to crackle with her insincerity, a feeling I'd been blind to until now. What else have I missed? The question hangs heavy, a storm cloud in my mind, and then as if summoned by my dark thoughts, I feel a light touch on my arm. I turn, schooling my features into a neutral expression. It's Sarah. Her smile is bright, dazzling, utterly fake. The scent of her perfume, that jasmine I once loved, assaults my senses. It's a sensory contradiction, her outward warmth and the coldness of her earlier words. "There you are, Mark," she says, her voice oozing affection. "I was looking for you. Everyone's so thrilled about your news." She squeezes my arm, her eyes sparkling with a light I now recognize as deceit. She has no idea I heard. No idea at all. And in that moment, I make a decision. I will play along. For now. The bitter tang of betrayal mixes with the smoky taste of the scotch on my tongue. This is just the beginning. I remember the first time I smelled that jasmine perfume. It was at a crowded, noisy recruitment event for Sterling Consulting 3 years ago. She'd laughed. A genuine, unrestrained sound that had cut through the stale air and the drone of corporate speak. Sarah. She was vibrant, ambitious, an analyst in a different department, and her energy was infectious. That night, the perfume was alluring, a promise of something exciting. Now, standing in my too-quiet apartment after the party, the memory of it, mingling with the phantom scent her words conjured, just makes my stomach churn. The foundation of us, which I thought was solid stone, now feels like sand, shifting and uncertain under my feet. We met when I was a junior analyst, fresh-faced and eager to prove myself. Sarah was already a year in, confident and seemingly supportive. "You've got this, Mark," she'd said after my first challenging presentation, her smile genuine back then, or so I believed. We started as colleagues, then friends, sharing late-night takeout during project crunches and celebrating small victories with cheap beer. The scent of stale pizza and her jasmine perfume became the backdrop to my early career. Our relationship bloomed amidst spreadsheets and strategy decks. I fell for her intelligence, her drive, or what I perceived as her drive. Looking back, I wonder how much of it was real. My journey at Sterling was a climb. I didn't fall upwards, as she so generously put it. I worked. God, how I worked. From junior analyst to analyst, then senior analyst, and now the promotion to senior manager. Each step was earned with sweat, with late nights where the city lights blurred into an indistinguishable smear through my office window, with presentations I rehearsed until my voice was raw. I remember the acidic taste of coffee, countless cups, fueling those marathon sessions. I took on the projects no one else wanted, the ones teetering on the edge of failure, and I turned them around. Not for glory, but because that's what you do. You prove your worth. My colleagues, my actual supportive colleagues, saw it. My superiors saw it. That's why I was promoted. Merit, not pity. The very word leaves a foul residue in my thoughts. Sarah's trajectory, however, was different. She was still an analyst, a good one, but stuck. The ambition I'd admired seemed to curdle into something else over time. Resentment? Maybe. I'd tried to help, offered to review her proposals, suggested strategies. "I know what I'm doing, Mark," she'd snap, her voice tight, the scent of her perfume suddenly sharp, almost acrid even then, a subtle warning I'd failed to heed. I'd chalked it up to stress, to the pressure of the firm. Now, those moments replay in my mind with painful clarity. Her smiles had become a little too bright, her encouragement a little too forced. The easy camaraderie we once shared had been replaced by a subtle tension, a current of something unspoken running beneath the surface. I was too busy, too focused on my own climb, perhaps too trusting to see it for what it was. The faint, persistent smell of her perfume on the throw pillows of our shared couch, once a comfort, now feels like a mockery. How could I have been so blind? The thought is a dull ache in my chest. The memory of her words at the party, pity points, echoes in the silence of my apartment. It's like a key turning in a rusty lock, opening a door to a room full of doubts I'd ignored. Her stagnation wasn't just bad luck, it was a choice, maybe. And my success, it seems, became a mirror reflecting her own perceived failures, breeding a bitterness she chose to hide behind a veneer of support. The hum of the refrigerator, usually unnoticeable, now seems loud, intrusive, filling the space where her laughter used to be. I pick up a framed photo of us from a trip last year. Smiling, happy, the ocean a brilliant blue behind us. The salty tang of that sea air, a happy memory, is now tainted. Was that smile fake too? The question is a small, sharp pain. This uncertainty is a torment. I need to know. I need to understand how deep this goes. So, I decide, right there, with the phantom scent of jasmine mocking me, that I'll test her. Not cruelly, not overtly, but I need to see her reactions, unfiltered by the presence of her gossiping friends. I need to hear her words when she thinks she's just talking to me, her supportive boyfriend. The familiar weight of my phone in my hand feels different, no longer just a communication device, but a potential tool. A quiet power move, born of necessity. I'll ask her about my new role, about the challenges, feign a little insecurity, and watch. Watch her eyes. Listen to the nuances in her voice. Gauge the sincerity, or lack thereof. The thought of this deliberate test leaves a strange taste in my mouth, metallic and unpleasant, like old pennies. It's not who I am, or who I thought I was. But she's changed the rules of this game, a game I didn't even know we were playing. The once sweet scent of her perfume in my memory is now undeniably sour, a constant, sickly reminder of the crack in our foundation. I need to know if that crack is a fissure or a chasm. A few days later, after the initial sting has dulled to a persistent ache, I bring it up. This new role. It's a lot, I say, trying to inject a note of vulnerability into my voice. We're making dinner. The scent of garlic and herbs, usually comforting, doing little to ease the knot in my stomach. She glances at me, a brief, almost dismissive look. "You'll be fine, Mark. You always are." Her voice is light, but there's an edge to it, something I wouldn't have noticed before. No follow-up questions, no offer to listen, just a quick platitude. The garlic suddenly smells overwhelmingly strong, almost acrid. My heart sinks a little further. This isn't the Sarah I knew or thought I knew. The quiet power of her indifference is a painful revelation in itself. Then, A week after the party, she comes up with an idea, her eyes a little too bright. "Mark, we should celebrate your promotion properly. Let's get everyone together, James, Chloe, Ben, all our friends. A big dinner. My treat." The offer, on the surface, sounds generous. But knowing what I know now, a cold dread washes over me. James, Chloe, Ben? They were all there, part of her audience when she delivered her pity hire assessment. A public celebration orchestrated by her? The scent of her perfume, which she's just reapplied, feels like a warning bell. This isn't a celebration. It's a stage. And I have a sinking feeling I know exactly what role she intends for me to play. The subtle shift in the air, the almost predatory gleam in her eyes. It's a mini cliffhanger, a silent promise of more to come. My gut screams trap. The restaurant Sarah chose is one of those places that tries too hard dim lighting, loud music, and prices designed to impress rather than satisfy. The air is thick with the smell of truffle oil and forced conviviality. Our friends are already there. James, ever the sycophant to whoever's buying. Chloe, who always has an air of knowing more than she lets on. And Ben, quiet, observant Ben, who I've always felt was a decent guy. Sarah is in her element, playing the gracious host, her laughter a little too loud, her hand lingering on my arm a little too long. The fabric of her dress, a silk that probably cost half my monthly car payment, feels slippery beneath my unwilling hand. It's all a performance, and I'm the unwilling co-star. "To Mark," Sarah announces, raising her wine glass. The crystal catches the low light, sending splinters of reflection across the table. "Our new senior manager. We're all so incredibly proud of what he's achieved." There's that slight hesitation before achieved. A tiny pause that no one else seems to notice, but to me, it's louder than the thumping bass of the music. The taste of my water is suddenly metallic. My smile feels plastered on. "Hear, hear," James booms, already a little flushed from the wine. Chloe offers a polite smile and a nod. Her eyes, however, are sharp, assessing. Ben murmurs his congratulations, his gaze meeting mine briefly, a flicker of something unreadable in their depths. The conversation flows, or rather Sarah directs it, and with each passing comment she manages to subtly chip away at my accomplishment. "It's such a demanding role, isn't it, Mark?" she says, her voice laced with faux concern. "I just hope they're giving you the support you need. You know, not just throwing you in at the deep end because, well, you know." She trails off, leaving the implication hanging in the air, as heavy and cloying as the truffle oil. The scent of her jasmine perfume, usually a cloud around her, seems to intensify with each veiled jab. "I hear the new diversity initiatives are really shaking things up," James interjects, oblivious or perhaps complicit. "Good time to be moving up, eh, Mark?" I manage a tight smile. "Sterling promotes based on merit, James, always has." My voice is calm, even, but inside, a storm is brewing. The fork in my hand feels cold and heavy. Of course," Sarah says quickly, her hand covering mine on the table. A possessive yet undermining gesture. "No one's saying you didn't earn it, sweetie. It's just, well, it's a big leap. Sometimes these things happen quickly for people." The silence that follows her joke is brief, but loaded. Chloe looks down at her plate. Ben clears his throat, his gaze fixed somewhere over my shoulder. The tension is a palpable thing, a tightrope stretched across the table. My hands, resting in my lap beneath the table, begin to tremble slightly. Not with fear, but with a tightly controlled rage. The rough texture of the linen napkin beneath my fingertips is the only thing grounding me. I can taste adrenaline, a bitter, coppery tang at the back of my throat. It's then, watching the carefully orchestrated expressions of our friends, The way Sarah basks in the subtle discomfort she's creating, that a horrifying thought crystallizes. This isn't just about her own insecurities anymore. This is sabotage. Has she been doing this all along? Planting seeds of doubt with colleagues, with superiors? The idea hits me with the force of a physical blow. Those hushed conversations I'd occasionally walk in on, the ones that would abruptly stop, the slightly pitying looks from certain colleagues, were they because of her? Was she painting me as overwhelmed, incapable, a charity case behind my back? The very air in the restaurant feels thinner, harder to breathe. The delicious aroma of grilled steak from a nearby table turns my stomach. My decision to investigate her further, made in the cold light of my apartment, now feels less like a test and more like a desperate necessity. I need to know the extent of this. I need to protect myself. I take a slow breath, pushing the anger down, locking it away. I won't give her the satisfaction of an outburst. Not here. Not like this. It is a leap, I say, my voice remarkably steady, meeting her gaze. But I've always enjoyed a challenge, and I have a great team. I even manage a small, confident smile. I see a flicker of surprise in her eyes, quickly masked. She expected me to falter, to look flustered. The subtle shift in her expression is a small victory, but it tastes like ash. The quiet power of my composure seems to momentarily throw her off her game. The rest of the dinner is a blur of polite conversation and veiled insults. I deflect, I redirect, I maintain my composure, all the while feeling like I'm navigating a minefield. The scent of Sarah's perfume, once intoxicating, now feels like the marker of a toxic bloom. By the time we leave, the forced smile on my face aches, but the resolve inside me has hardened into steel. I need proof. I need to understand what I'm up against. The streetlights cast long, distorted shadows as we walk to the car, a fitting visual for the twisted reality of my relationship. The cool night air does little to clear the suffocating feeling of betrayal. The next morning, I'm nursing a hangover and a heavy heart when an email pings in my inbox. It's from an anonymous address, no subject line. Just a single sentence. Heard you're good at turnarounds. Major corporation, confidential CEO search. Interested? File attached. My breath catches. CEO? It seems too coincidental, too sudden. The cursor hovers over the attachment, a small, flickering icon promising either a lifeline or another elaborate trap. The scent of stale coffee in my mug is suddenly sharp, cutting through my fatigue. This could change everything. The attachment is a discreetly worded brief from a high-profile executive search firm. They're looking for a new CEO for Innovatech, a major tech corporation that's been struggling with outdated practices and declining market share. It's a beast of a challenge, a complete overhaul, exactly the kind of high-stakes turnaround I've built my reputation on at Sterling, albeit on a smaller scale. The crisp sound of the document printing, each page whispering out of my machine, feels like a significant shift in the quiet of my Sunday morning. The opportunity is immense, terrifying, and exhilarating all at once. The very paper feels charged with potential, the ink stark against the white. This isn't just a step up, it's a quantum leap. I spend the next few days in a whirlwind of research, discrete inquiries, and internal debate. Can I do this? The question echoes in my mind, but beneath it, a stronger, more insistent voice says, yes. This is what I've been working towards, even if I hadn't dared to articulate it so boldly. The memory of Sarah's dismissive words, pity points, fuels a new kind of fire in me, not just anger, but a fierce determination to prove her, and anyone else who ever doubted me, devastatingly wrong. The taste of my morning coffee is sharper, more invigorating than usual. I decide to keep the headhunter contact to myself. A strategic move. My first quiet power play in this new game. I need to navigate this without Sarah's input. Especially now. The faint, almost undetectable scent of her perfume on a shirt she left in my closet catches me off guard one morning. A sudden, unwelcome reminder of the emotional battlefield I'm also navigating. I shove the shirt to the back, a small, symbolic act of reclaiming my space, my focus. A week into the initial screening process, after a series of encrypted emails and carefully worded phone calls with the headhunter, Amelia Sterling, no relation to my current firm, ironically, I let a carefully curated piece of information slip to Sarah. "Had a strange call today," I say casually over dinner, the clinking of our cutlery the only sound for a moment. "A headhunter. Sounded like a pretty senior role they're trying to fill." I watch her face. The fork in her hand stills. Her eyes, usually so expressive in their duplicity, widen almost imperceptibly. "Oh," she says, her voice a little too high. "Really? For what?" "Didn't say much. Very hush-hush," I reply, deliberately vague. "Probably just fishing. You know how these things are." The scent of the roasted chicken, normally so appetizing, suddenly seems bland. I'm more interested in her reaction. For a moment, she's silent. I can almost see the calculations whirring behind her eyes. Then, a slow smile spreads across her face. A smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. "Well, Mark, that's interesting. You should definitely explore it. You never know." The speed of her apparent turnaround is dizzying. Just a few weeks ago, I was a pity hire, barely capable of my current role. Now I'm being encouraged to explore something even bigger? The hypocrisy is breathtaking. The subtle scent of the wine she's drinking, a fruity Merlot, seems to carry her insincerity on its vapors. Over the next couple of weeks, as I progress through the Innovatech interview stages, video calls with board members, psychometric tests that feel like intellectual sparring matches, deep dives into my track record. Sarah's behavior undergoes a remarkable transformation. Suddenly, she's my biggest cheerleader. "How did the call go?" she'll ask, her voice brimming with concern. "You need to highlight that X project, Mark. That was brilliant." She starts offering unsolicited advice, peppering her conversations with "we" when discussing my career. "We need to make sure your resume is perfect," she says one evening, reaching for my laptop. The feel of her hand brushing mine sends an involuntary shiver down my spine, not of affection, but of something akin to revulsion. I pull my hand away, a little too quickly. "I've got it covered, thanks," I say, my voice cooler than intended. Her smile falters for a split second. It's another small tell, another crack in her carefully constructed facade. The crisp, clean scent of the new suit I bought for the in-person interviews feels like a shield against her attempts to co-opt my potential success. Each document Amelia sends me, the rustle of the high-quality paper as I review strategy proposals and financial reports, feels like another step away from Sarah's toxic influence and towards something real, something earned. The constant hum of my printer spitting out research documents becomes a soundtrack to my secret ambition. She even starts taking credit for pushing me. "I always knew you were capable of more, Mark," she says to Chloe during a weekend brunch, her voice loud enough for me to overhear. "That's why I've been encouraging him to aim higher." Chloe catches my eye, a knowing look on her face. It seems I'm not the only one who sees through Sarah's performance. The taste of the mimosa I'm nursing turns sour. It's another quiet power move on my part, letting Sarah dig her own hole, letting her reveal her true colors to those around us. I say nothing, just offer a non-committal smile. My silence, My refusal to engage with her narrative seems to unnerve her more than any argument could. The aroma of freshly baked scones at the brunch, usually a delight, is lost on me. All my senses are attuned to Sarah, to her machinations, to the intricate web of deceit she's spinning. The final interview is scheduled. A full day with the Innovatech board. This is it. The culmination of weeks of intense preparation. I'm on edge, focused, a bundle of nervous energy. Sarah is almost manic in her support. "You're going to ace it, Mark. We're going to celebrate big when you get it," she exclaims, hugging me a little too tightly. The scent of her jasmine perfume, which she's wearing again today, feels like a tightening noose. I feel a prickle of unease, a sense of impending something. She's too invested, too eager. My mind flashes back to the celebration dinner she organized for my last promotion. A cold knot forms in my stomach. She wouldn't, would she? The question hangs in the air. A silent, ominous cliffhanger as I prepare for the most important interview of my life. She has one last chance to act, and I can't shake the feeling she's going to take it. The day before the final Innovatech interview, the unease I'd been feeling solidifies into a cold certainty. An anonymous email lands in my inbox. Not mine, but a forwarded message sent to Amelia Sterling, the headhunter. The sender is concerned colleague at anonymousmail.com. The subject, regarding Mark Ashton, Innovatech CEO candidacy. My blood runs cold. The faint, sterile scent of my home office, usually a comfort, feels suddenly charged with menace. The email is a masterpiece of subtle sabotage. It doesn't make outrageous claims, nothing easily disproven. Instead, it raises concerns about my ability to handle pressure, hints at past projects where I supposedly struggled with team cohesion, and suggests my recent promotion at Sterling was more about internal politics than proven leadership. It's cleverly worded, designed to plant seeds of doubt without leaving obvious fingerprints. But I know who wrote this. The phrasing, the specific, slightly twisted details about my Sterling projects. It has Sarah written all over it. The metallic taste of betrayal, so familiar now, floods my mouth. My hands clench into fists. How could she? After all her saccharine encouragement, her declarations of support, the sheer audacity of it, the calculated treachery, leaves me breathless for a moment. The quiet hum of my computer tower seems to mock my shock. But the shock quickly morphs into a white, hot rage, followed by an equally intense, icy calm. She's overplayed her hand. This isn't just office gossip anymore. This is a direct attempt to torpedo the biggest opportunity of my life. The anonymous email also included a little gem, a BCC to an obscure, rarely used personal email address of mine, one Sarah knew about from years ago, one she probably thought I'd forgotten. A mistake on her part. A critical one. She wanted to know if her poison dart hit its mark, perhaps. Or maybe she just got sloppy in her malice. It doesn't matter. What matters is that I have it. Proof. That evening, I don't confront her. I play the role of the slightly stressed, hopeful candidate. She's solicitous, asking about my preparation, offering last-minute tips. Her performance is flawless. The scent of the dinner she's thoughtfully prepared. A bland chicken and broccoli dish, supposedly healthy for my pre-interview nerves, does nothing to whet my appetite. My stomach is a knot of controlled fury and steely resolve. This time I'm ready. As she's clearing the table, I casually mention the anonymous email I received, framing it as a strange piece of misdirected office gossip someone accidentally forwarded to my old address. So weird, I say, watching her face carefully. Someone's trying to spread nasty rumors about a candidate for a big job. Sounds like a real snake. Her back is to me, but I see her shoulders stiffen almost imperceptibly. Oh? she says, her voice a little too nonchalant. People can be so jealous, can't they? Exactly, I agree, my voice smooth as silk. Anyway, I just deleted it. Pathetic, whoever it was. I'm setting a trap, and she's walking right into it. She turns, a manufactured, sympathetic smile on her face. You shouldn't let things like that bother you, Mark. Especially not now. Oh, it doesn't bother me, I lie. But it did make me think. What if someone tried to do that to me? Sabotage my chances? She comes closer, places a hand on my arm. The scent of her jasmine perfume is almost overpowering. No one would do that to you, Mark. You're too good, too well-liked. Her eyes are wide, innocent. It's a sickeningly accomplished performance. You think so? I press gently. I know so, she says, her voice earnest. It's then I make my move. My phone is on the counter, already recording audio. That's a relief to hear, Sarah, I say, because if I ever found out someone, especially someone close to me, tried to undermine me like that, well, I don't know what I'd do. I pause, letting the silence stretch. Actually, I do. I'd make sure they understood that actions have consequences. Her smile wavers. Just for a second. A tiny muscle twitches in her jaw. The air crackles with unspoken tension. She quickly recovers. Well, you don't have to worry about that, darling. The recording continues, capturing every lie, every false reassurance. The weight of my phone in my pocket later, as I transfer the file, is deeply, grimly satisfying. It's not just a phone anymore. It's a repository of her deceit. This isn't just about protecting myself. It's about exposing her. The Innovatech interview the next day is grueling, a marathon of presentations, quanda sessions, and intense scrutiny. But I'm fueled by a strange mixture of adrenaline and a profound sense of liberation. Sarah's betrayal, her attempt to drag me down, has, paradoxically, unshackled me from any lingering false loyalty, any shred of doubt about ending things with her. I'm not just fighting for a job, I'm fighting for my future, for my self-respect. I nail every question, every challenge. I lay out my vision for Innovatech with a clarity and passion that surprises even myself. The scent of expensive coffee and old leather in the boardroom, the gleam of the polished mahogany table, the focused intensity in the eyes of the board members. It all feels like the arena where I'm finally, truly proving my worth on my own terms. Amelia calls me 2 days later. Mark, she says, her voice warm, professional. The board was unanimously impressed. They'd like to formally offer you the position of Chief Executive Officer of Innovatech. A wave of dizziness, of pure, unadulterated triumph washes over me. I sink into my chair, the cheap fabric of my sterling office chair a stark contrast to the future that's just opened up before me. Thank you, Amelia, I manage, my voice thick with emotion. I accept. The words taste sweet, earned. I did it. Despite her. Because of her, even. Her attempt to destroy me has only made me stronger, more focused. The scent of victory is clean, crisp, and entirely my own. That evening, I go home. Sarah is there, eager, expectant. So, how did it go? Did you hear anything? She asks, her eyes shining with that fake brightness I've come to despise. I look at her, truly look at her, perhaps for the first time in a long time, without the filter of affection or hope. And I give her my most convincing performance yet. No, I say, my voice carefully flat, laced with disappointment. I don't think I got it. They went with someone else. Her face falls, but there's a flicker, just a flash, of something else in her eyes before she composes her features into a mask of sympathy. Relief? Triumph? I can't be sure. But it's there. And it tells me everything I need to know. "Oh, Mark," she says, rushing to embrace me. "I'm so sorry. You must be devastated." Her hug feels like a viper's coil. The scent of her perfume is a sickening miasma. I let her console me, let her offer her empty platitudes. I let her believe her sabotage worked. The quiet power of this deception is a heady, dangerous thing. She has no idea what's coming. And as she drones on about how it's their loss and how something better will come along, a single stark thought rings in my mind. The game is far from over. It's just entered a new, much more interesting phase. He gets the job, but doesn't tell her immediately. The silence of my true success is my new secret weapon. My first week as CEO of Innovatech is a blur of handshakes, strategy meetings, and the invigorating scent of new beginnings, a mix of industrial-strength coffee, fresh paint in some of G renovated offices, and the faint, crisp smell of new technology. The weight of the responsibility is immense, but it's a good weight, a purposeful weight. I'm in my element, laying out my vision, making decisive moves, and for the first time in a long time, feeling completely in control of my destiny. The smooth, cool leather of my new CEO chair is a constant, satisfying reminder of how far I've come, and how I got here, on my own merit. Back in the apartment I still share with Sarah, a situation I'm planning to remedy very soon, the atmosphere is thick with a different kind of tension. My feigned failure to secure the Innovatech role has created a subtle shift in our dynamic. Sarah is overly solicitous, almost suffocatingly so. "Don't worry, Mark," she says, her voice dripping with false concern as I stare blankly at my laptop, pretending to job hunt. "You're so talented. Another opportunity, maybe something more manageable, will come up." The condescension, wrapped in a veneer of care, is almost comical. The scent of the comfort food she keeps making, heavy, starchy casseroles, does little to comfort and more to cloy. Her anxiety is palpable. It radiates off her in waves, a nervous energy that fills the small space. She keeps asking about my job search, about my mood. She's worried, I realize, but not for me. She's worried about what my perceived failure means for her, for the life she envisioned. Her desperation is a quiet hum beneath her forced cheerfulness. I, on the other hand, am meticulously orchestrating. Each evening, I recount fictional tales of disheartening job rejections and dead-end interviews. I paint a picture of a man adrift, options dwindling. It's a calculated performance, designed to lull her into a false sense of security, perhaps even a touch of superiority. "Maybe you should aim a little lower for now, Mark," she suggests one evening, her tone gentle, but her eyes holding that familiar flicker of something less kind. "Just to get back on your feet." The subtle scent of her jasmine perfume, which she still wears religiously, feels like a tightening coil. She thinks she has me figured out, pegged as the one who needs her guidance. Perfect. My quiet power move is unfolding in stages. First, severing our joint accounts, citing my uncertain financial future. Her protests are mild, masked by understanding words, but her eyes betray a flash of panic. Good. The faint, metallic scent of coins as I sort through our shared finances seems to symbolize the untangling of our lives. Next, I start spending more evenings networking or meeting contacts, returning late, offering vague, tired summaries of my efforts. The truth is, I'm at Innovatech, sometimes until the early hours of the morning, immersing myself in the challenge, building my team, laying the groundwork for the company's revival. The aroma of late-night pizza shared with my new executive team at Innovatech, a scent of camaraderie and shared purpose, is a world away from the stifling atmosphere of my apartment. The final piece of the setup involves a carefully planted seed. I know Sarah's been feeling restless at Sterling, her own career stagnant. I let slip to Ben, our mutual friend, the quiet, observant one, that Innovatech, under its new, still anonymous to them, leadership, is looking to shake things up, potentially bringing in fresh talent at all levels, even for high-potential internships or special projects. Ben, as I expected, mentions it to Sarah. The information is designed to pique her interest, to make her see Innovatech as a potential lifeline, especially now that her successful boyfriend seems to be flailing. The silence on the other end of the phone, when Ben later tells me Sarah asked a lot of questions about Innovatech, is golden. The tension in the apartment grows. Sarah becomes more critical, her patience wearing thin. "Are you even really trying, Mark?" she snaps one evening, after I recount another fictional tale of a disastrous interview. "Or are you just going to mope around?" The scent of burnt toast from her distracted breakfast attempt hangs in the air, a metaphor for her fraying composure. Her desperation is making her sloppy, her mask slipping more frequently. I absorb her barbs, her frustrations, with a carefully maintained air of dejection. Inside, however, I'm counting down. The groundwork is laid. The stage is set. All I need now is for her to make the inevitable request. The satisfying click of my new office door at Innovatech as I leave late one night, the city lights sprawling beneath me, is a stark contrast to the strained silence that will greet me at home. It happens on a Tuesday. I'm reviewing my resume for the 10th time, a picture of defeated ambition. Sarah hovers nearby, the scent of her anxiety almost a physical presence. She sighs, a theatrical sound of exasperation. "Mark," she begins, her voice tight with a forced patience that's clearly about to break. "Look, I might have an idea. Something that could help you, and, well, maybe me too." I look up, my expression carefully neutral, betraying none of the cold anticipation churning within me. "Oh?" She takes a deep breath. "Innovatech. Ben mentioned they're looking for people. Maybe I could look into it. And if I get a foot in the door, I could see if there are any openings for you. Or at least put in a good word." Her eyes avoid mine. The subtle tremor in her voice is unmistakable. She's finally asking. The trap is sprung. The silence in the room is heavy, broken only by the frantic beating of what I imagine is her heart, and the slow, steady rhythm of my own. The faint, almost undetectable scent of my new leather briefcase, sitting by the door, seems to whisper of the collision course we're on. "Innovatech," I echo, letting a flicker of carefully constructed hope cross my face. "You think you could help me there, Sarah?" The air in our cramped living room feels suddenly charged. The scent of her jasmine perfume, usually so pervasive, seems to recede, overwhelmed by the sheer audacity of her suggestion and the silent thunder of my impending revelation. She shifts her weight from one foot to the other, a small, nervous movement. "Well, I can try," she says, a magnanimous tone lacing her voice. "I'm a good networker. And honestly, Mark, you need some direction right now. Someone to open a few doors." The condescension is back, wrapped in a layer of feigned altruism. "That's really good of you, Sarah," I manage, my voice tinged with just the right amount of gratitude. This is it. The moment I've been working towards. The culmination of weeks of careful planning. "Why don't we talk about it properly?" I suggest. "Tomorrow? I have a temporary office space I'm using, just for a few weeks. Helps me focus. We could meet there. Say, 11? She brightens. An office space? Oh, good for you, Mark. Taking initiative. She probably imagined some depressing rented cubicle. Yes, 11 sounds perfect. I'll bring my resume too, just in case. The next morning, I'm in my actual office, my CEO office. The panoramic view of the city sprawls before me, a glittering testament to the new reality. The scent of freshly brewed coffee, rich and dark, fills the spacious room. The quiet, efficient hum of a successful corporation is a soothing backdrop. I feel calm, centered, ready. Sarah arrives at precisely 11. The receptionist, briefed by me, shows her directly to my office. I watch through the frosted glass panel of my door as she approaches, her expression a mixture of curiosity and perhaps a touch of pity for my supposed temporary setup. The door opens. She steps in and stops. Her eyes dart around the expansive corner office, the mahogany desk, the leather chairs, the modern art on the walls, the sweeping city view. Her jaw literally drops. The carefully prepared speech she was no doubt about to deliver about how she was going to help me dies on her lips. The stunned silence that fills my office is more satisfying than any shouting match could ever be. It stretches, taut and heavy, broken only by the distant thrum of city traffic. Her face pales, the color draining from it as if pulled by an invisible string. The expensive handbag she's carrying slips from her nerveless fingers, hitting the plush carpet with a soft thud. "Mark?" she whispers, her voice barely audible. "What? What is this?" Her eyes are wide, uncomprehending, darting from me to the nameplate on my desk. Mark Ashton, Chief Executive Officer. I lean back in my large, comfortable CEO chair, the smooth leather cool against my back. I take a slow sip of my coffee. "This, Sarah," I say, my voice calm, level, "is my office." The shock on her face is a kaleidoscope of emotions. Disbelief, then dawning horror, then a desperate, scrambling confusion. She panics. Her carefully constructed composure shatters like cheap glass. "But you said you didn't get the Innovatech job." Her voice cracks. "Did I?" I ask, raising an eyebrow. "Or did I say they went with someone else, and you just assumed that someone else wasn't me?" She scrambles for an explanation, a foothold in this new, bewildering reality. "But the anonymous email, you said you deleted it." "Ah, yes," I say, my voice still dangerously soft. The anonymous email, the one that was so concerned about my leadership abilities, the one that, very carelessly, was BCC'd to an old email address of mine. My phone, Sarah, it has a wonderful recording feature. Her face, if possible, gets even paler. The scent of her jasmine perfume, which I can now faintly detect, seems to wilt in the air, a dying fragrance. She understands. She understands how badly she's miscalculated, how completely she's been outmaneuvered. "Mark, I can explain," she stammers, her eyes darting around as if seeking an escape route. I was worried about you. That role, it's so much pressure. I didn't want to see you fail." Her attempt to rewrite history, to paint her sabotage as an act of misguided affection, is pathetic and deeply insulting. "Worried," I repeat, my voice like ice. "Is that what you call trying to destroy someone's career, Sarah? Is that your definition of support?" She takes a step towards me, her hands outstretched, pleading. "Mark, please, we can work this out. I always believed in you. Always." The lie is so blatant, so desperate, it's almost pitiful. The confident, manipulative woman from the company party, from the dinner, is gone. In her place is a frightened, cornered creature. The emotional verbs are written all over her. She panics, she scrambles, she pleads. It's a pathetic sight. I hold up a hand, stopping her. "Save it, Sarah." My quiet power move is not about shouting or recrimination. It's about the devastating calm of the truth. What's done is done. But since you're here, and you mentioned you were looking for opportunities, perhaps I can offer you some genuine career advice. Her eyes search mine, desperate for a lifeline, any sign of the old Mark, the one she could manipulate. She finds none. I smile, a cool, professional smile that doesn't reach my eyes. Innovatech is undergoing a major restructuring. We're looking for dynamic individuals. In fact, I pause, letting the anticipation build. We have an excellent internship program. The word hangs in the air between us, a perfectly polished, poisoned dart. Internship. The silence returns, thick and suffocating for her, deliciously triumphant for me. The stunned disbelief on her face is my victory. An internship program? Sarah repeats, her voice a thin, reedy whisper. The word itself seems to stick in her throat, a bitter pill. The vibrant confidence she walked in with has utterly evaporated, leaving behind a hollow shell. The expensive fabric of her blouse suddenly looks out of place, too bright for the pallor of her skin. She stares at me, her eyes wide with a mixture of horror and dawning comprehension. The air in my office, once filled with the aroma of my morning coffee and success, now feels charged with her silent, internal implosion. Yes, I continue, my tone meticulously professional, almost helpful. It's a fantastic program, actually. We're looking for individuals who are eager to learn, adaptable, willing to start from the ground up, so to speak. It's a chance to really understand the nuts and bolts of a company like Innovatech, contribute to meaningful projects, and, of course, gain invaluable experience. I lean forward slightly, my gaze steady on hers. Given your current career situation and your expressed interest in Innovatech, I thought it might be something you'd find beneficial. Each word is chosen with care, a velvet glove concealing an iron fist. The subtle squeak of her expensive leather chair as she shifts nervously is the only sound for a long moment. It's a tiny, uncomfortable noise that perfectly encapsulates her current state. Her mind is clearly racing, trying to process the layers of insult wrapped in this professional courtesy. An internship. For her, Sarah, who saw herself as a corporate player, who condescended to me about my manageable opportunities. The humiliation is a visible wave that washes over her face, a flush of red creeping up her neck. Her hands are clenched so tightly in her lap that her knuckles are white. I can almost hear the silent scream behind her carefully blank expression. The scent of her jasmine perfume, which has been a constant sensory marker in our story, now seems entirely defeated, a faint, ghost-like aroma that can't compete with the stark reality of her situation. An internship? She finally manages to choke out, the word laced with disbelief and a tremor of suppressed fury. Mark, are you serious? Perfectly serious, Sarah, I reply, my voice betraying no hint of the grim satisfaction I feel. It's a paid internship, of course, competitive stipend, and the experience, as I said, would be excellent. You'd be working with some very bright people. A real chance to reset, perhaps reevaluate your career path. The phrase reset hangs there, a polite euphemism for the wreckage she's made of her own prospects and her attempt to sabotage mine. Her internal struggle is almost palpable. Pride wars with a dawning, desperate realization of her financial necessity. I know her situation at Sterling is precarious. Her performance has been mediocre for a while, and her attitude hasn't won her any favors. My failure to get the Innovatech job, the one she was counting on to perhaps coast on, has left her with dwindling options. Now this, the ultimate indignity offered by the man she tried to destroy. The silence stretches again, thick with unspoken emotions. Her breathing is shallow, her eyes darting around my office as if the walls themselves are closing in on her. She licks her lips, a nervous, unconscious gesture. The tiny sound is amplified in the charged quiet. I don't know what to say, she murmurs, her gaze dropping to the expensive carpet. There's no pressure, of course, I say smoothly, the epitome of a reasonable CEO. Take some time to think about it. It's a genuine offer. Innovatech believes in giving people opportunities to learn and grow, regardless of their past missteps. The slight emphasis on missteps is deliberate, a tiny twist of the knife. I can see the conflict raging within her, the burning shame versus the cold, hard reality of needing a job, any job. The once confident set of her shoulders is now slumped, her posture defeated. The aroma of the expensive leather of my guest chairs, where she sits, probably feels like a judgment. I glance at the sleek, modern clock on my desk. Tell you what, I say, my voice brisk, professional. Why don't you take 24 hours to consider it? Let my assistant know your decision by, say, noon tomorrow? I make a show of looking at my schedule. I have a board meeting then, but she can pass on the message. The mention of my assistant, the board meeting, it's all part of the quiet power move, reinforcing my position, her desperation. It's an offer that is, on paper, genuinely beneficial. A foot in the door at a major corporation, a chance to work, to earn. But emotionally, it's devastating. It's a public acknowledgement of her failure, her treachery, and my ultimate triumph. The uncomfortable squeak of her chair again as she stands, her movements stiff, uncoordinated. 24 hours, I repeat, my smile unwavering, professional to the last. The ball is in your court, Sarah. She nods numbly, unable to meet my eyes, and practically flees my office. The door clicks shut behind her, leaving me in the quiet, commanding space. The faint, lingering scent of her defeated jasmine perfume is the only trace of her presence, and it's a scent I know I'll never perceive the same way again. The cliffhanger isn't about whether she'll take the internship. It's about watching her grapple with the consequences of her own actions. The next 24 hours will be her own personal hell, and I can't say I'm not looking forward to hearing her decision. The email arrives at 11:58 a.m. the next day, just 2 minutes before the deadline I'd set. It's from Sarah, a short, curt message addressed to my assistant, CC'd to me. I accept the internship position. Please let me know the next steps. Sarah Jennings. No pleas, no explanations, just a stark, capitulating acceptance. The quiet hum of success in my new office, the gentle whir of the ventilation system, seems to underscore the finality of her decision. My lips curve into a small, grim smile. She chose necessity over pride, or perhaps her pride couldn't withstand the thought of complete irrelevance. The aftermath is interesting. News of Sarah Jennings, a formerly confident analyst, taking an internship at Innovatech under its new, dynamic CEO me, ripples through our old Sterling network with surprising speed. Chloe calls me first. Mark, is it true about Sarah? There's an undisguised note of awe, and perhaps a little bit of schadenfreude in her voice. The faint scent of the herbal tea I'm sipping as I take her call is calming, a contrast to the storm of gossip brewing outside my Innovatech sanctuary. Innovatech is an equal opportunity employer, Chloe, I say smoothly. We offer excellent learning opportunities. Chloe laughs. You, Mark Ashton, are a legend. Ben is speechless. James is apparently telling everyone he always knew you were CEO material and that Sarah was holding you back. The irony isn't lost on me. The shifting allegiances, the rewriting of history by those who once witnessed her casual cruelty. It's a fascinating, if slightly distasteful, spectacle. The taste of my tea is suddenly sharper, more defined. Sarah starts her internship the following Monday. I ensure she's assigned to a demanding department, working on a challenging but genuinely useful project. Not a make-work role, but nothing client-facing. Nothing where her particular brand of networking could cause damage or misrepresent the company. I see her occasionally in the hallways, a ghost of her former self. Her expensive clothes look out of place among the eager, casually dressed interns. Her face is usually pale, her eyes downcast. The once vibrant scent of her jasmine perfume is now so faint it's barely perceptible, a whisper of her past confidence. She avoids eye contact with me. We are, for all intents and purposes, strangers who happen to occupy the same corporate building, albeit at vastly different levels of the hierarchy. My reflection during this period is complex. Is this justice, or is it revenge? The line feels blurry at times. I didn't force her to take the internship. I presented her with a consequence, a direct result of her own actions. She tried to sabotage my career. Her own is now in tatters, not because of me directly, but because her duplicity was exposed by her own hand, and her professional stagnation was her own doing. The heavy, expensive feel of the fountain pen I use to sign off on major Innovatech initiatives is a constant reminder of the power I now wield, power I earned, power she tried to deny me. There's a grim satisfaction, yes, but it's not the gleeful, fist-pumping kind. It's colder, more analytical. It's the quiet satisfaction of a problem solved, a threat neutralized. My emotional growth is tangible. The Mark who would have been devastated, perhaps even broken, by her betrayal at that party feels like a distant memory. That Mark has been forged into someone stronger, more resilient, less naive. This new Mark understands that trust is earned, and that loyalty, true loyalty, is a precious and rare commodity. The constant low thrum of activity in the Innovatech offices, the energy of people working towards a common goal, is a healing balm. My final quiet power move in this particular saga is establishing clear, professional boundaries. I instruct my assistant that all communication with intern Jennings is to go through her direct supervisor. There will be no special access, no whispered pleas in my office. She is an intern, and she will be treated as such. My dignity is maintained by not stooping to her level, by not engaging in petty torments. The power lies in the professional distance, in the unassailable fact of my position versus hers. The clean, almost sterile scent of my organized desk, free of clutter, free of her influence, is a daily affirmation of this new order. One afternoon, about a month into her internship, I'm walking through the open-plan office space where some of the intern teams are based. I see her, hunched over a laptop, looking stressed and out of her depth. Her hair is scraped back, her expensive blouse slightly rumpled. She looks up, and for a fleeting second, our eyes meet. There's a flash of something in hers. Resentment, shame, a flicker of the old fire, quickly extinguished. I give a brief, impersonal nod, the kind a CEO gives to a junior employee, and continue on my way. No malice, no triumph, just a professional acknowledgement. That, I realize, is the true victory. Not her humiliation, but my own ascent beyond the reach of her negativity. The faint scent of photocopier toner and stale coffee in that section of the office is a world away from the refined air of the executive suite. And it's a world she now inhabits, by her own choices. I feel a strange sense of detachment, a final severing of the emotional cord. The setup for our conclusion, I sense, won't be a grand confrontation, but something quieter, more reflective, a final encounter that will merely confirm what I already know. I've moved on. She, however, is still paying the price. 6 months fly by in a whirlwind of activity. Innovatech is responding to the changes, the energy is palpable, and our first quarterly reports under my leadership are showing a significant uptick. The quiet hum of success in my new office isn't just a hum anymore, it's a vibrant thrum, a testament to hard work and a clear vision. The city skyline outside my window, once a symbol of daunting possibility, now feels like a familiar, conquered landscape. I've settled into the role, into my new life. The anger and hurt Sarah caused have faded, replaced by a calm sense of accomplishment and a newfound understanding of my own worth. The sharp, invigorating scent of success, a blend of ambition, achievement, and the relentless pursuit of excellence, is my new normal. I rarely think about Sarah. She's a footnote in a chapter I've long since finished reading. I hear whispers, of course, that she's struggling with the internship, that her attitude hasn't improved, that she's not exactly intern of the month material. It's none of my concern. My final quiet power move, the one that resonates most deeply, is my genuine indifference to her fate. She made her choices. She's living with them. My energy is focused on building Innovatech, on fostering a culture of genuine collaboration and respect. Everything sterling, and my relationship with Sarah, was not. Then, one crisp autumn evening, I'm leaving a late meeting. As I walk through the grand marble lobby of the Innovatech building, the confident sound of my footsteps echoing in the cavernous space, I see her. Sarah. She's huddled on a bench near the entrance, looking small and defeated, clutching a worn tote bag. Her internship must have finished for the day. She doesn't see me at first. Her expensive clothes are gone, replaced by something nondescript, almost drab. The once immaculate hair is lifeless. The vibrant spark that, even in her duplicity, had a certain allure, is completely extinguished. It's a stark visual representation of how much has changed. She looks up as I approach, her eyes widening almost comically when she recognizes me. There's no defiance left, no artifice, just a weary resignation. The air around her seems to carry the faint, sad scent of faded dreams and stale coffee. "Mark," she says, her voice barely a whisper. "Sarah," I reply, my tone neutral, polite. Not cold, not warm, just indifferent. The man who once loved her, who was once gutted by her betrayal, is gone. In his place is a CEO who sees a former employee, nothing more. An awkward silence hangs between us. She seems to want to say something, but the words won't come. What could she possibly say? Sorry, it's too late for that. Excuses? I'm no longer interested. I give a slight nod. Hope you're finding the internship instructive. A faint flush creeps up her neck. She looks away. It's challenging, she mutters. Good, I say. Challenges are how we grow. There's no malice in my voice, just a simple statement of fact. But I see the words land, see the flicker of understanding, of her own monumental misjudgment in her eyes. I don't linger. I have places to be, a life to live, a company to run. Good evening, Sarah, I say, and walk past her, out into the cool night air. The scent of freedom, of a future unburdened by her toxicity, is exhilarating. As my car pulls away from the curb, I glance back. She's still sitting there, a solitary figure in the vast, impersonal lobby. And I feel nothing. No anger, no pity, not even satisfaction. Just a profound sense of peace. The emotional resolution is complete. My final realization is that my self-worth isn't tied to her approval or her downfall. It comes from within, from my own achievements, my integrity, the genuine relationships I'm now building with people who value and respect me for who I am, not for what they think they can gain. The city lights blur past, a beautiful, glittering tapestry. This isn't just a new beginning for Innovatech, it's a new beginning for me. The bitterness is gone, replaced by a quiet hope, a belief in my own strength and the exciting, limitless potential of the future. And in that moment, I know I've truly won, not against Sarah, but for myself.